Here's my gig checklist as a 40-something part-time musician who plays harmonica and sings. And maybe a relevant detail about that is I don't play a lot of traditional blues. It's not your typical style of harmonica, which probably helps me out with some of the booking in the long run. But I usually play like 1 to 4 gigs a month, like very part-time. I'm booking shows 3 to 6 months out, and it's mostly bars, wineries, and some outdoor stuff when the weather's nice. And I would love to hear any tips, tricks, or questions that you have about this topic. So the first thing I have to do is check my very busy family calendar because I have 4 kids and they're involved in sports. I know about vacations and things in advance, so I usually have an accurate Google Calendar about 6 months out. I keep a spreadsheet of all the venues and any contact info I have, and I generally keep notes about whether I was able to get a hold of somebody or who I need to ask for specifically or time of day or when they told me they were booking next. And I send individualized emails to all those clubs, or sometimes Facebook Messenger is a good resource. And I try to give them a range of dates or at least a month or a season to work from rather than just say, do you have anything open? I also send some sort of promo, so it might be something I've made a video in Canva. And we're going to skip way ahead to where they actually get back to me and we actually come to terms on a date and the pay and that kind of thing. So I mostly do acoustic duo stuff just out of necessity. I mean, I like playing in full bands, but I guess my niche is acoustic classic rock and using the harmonica in a unique context. So I'm really fortunate to have a guitar player that I usually play with. So then I add everything to Google Calendar so that I know that I have the gig and my family knows I have the gig and my guitar player knows that we have the gig, and I make sure I put the venue address, the specific times and load in, what that person's going to get paid, and then what we need to do about PA or other equipment. Then I go to Bands in Town for Artists and I add it there because I just use a link tree for my main website and I put my tour dates on top, and this allows me to do that in a fairly efficient and aesthetically pleasing manner. Then I got to jump on the old F-book and I have to create an event page, and what's nice about that is on my artist page the banner's typically the same and I can just enter everything really quick. And then I jump in the old Canva machine and I create a poster, a post, and a story for the show. And what I do is I just have a template that I make a copy of, and if I make the poster first I can just resize for the post and the story and everything will look well. Then as the show gets closer, I need to update the set list and or create the set list depending on the sub. So sometimes with a sub, I might have to get a list from them of the 40 songs they know, look at the 50 songs that we typically play, and I might have to learn songs. I may have to ask them to learn songs. I try to keep the list I give a sub of songs that I really, really want them to learn to 6 or fewer. There's just a handful of songs that I know I really want to make sure I do, and then otherwise I can kind of be flexible with covers, and it's been a long time, so I guess I know a lot of songs. And I'm not embarrassed to have a device on stage if I have to look up lyrics because I want to make sure people hear the songs that they want to hear, and I don't think anyone cares at a winery if I'm reading from a tablet or not, and if they do, they weren't going to have fun with my show anyway. And then I check calendar for open dates and search for additional venues. So once I've booked, I got to worry about what I'm going to book next. So I got to go back to my spreadsheet. I got to check off where I've booked, what dates I've booked there. I try to pay attention to how often I'm playing in a similar area so I don't oversaturate. I got to remember as I get closer to gigs to share Facebook events to my music page, personal page, and groups. It happens to be the social media that works best for me. I don't get a lot of traction on Instagram, and the only TikToks that get viewed here other than some gig samples of harmonica playing or lessons, so I don't really post about gigs that I have on TikTok. It's not the people that are liking me on this app. They're not living close enough to really come to shows, or they're generally other harmonica players. And then the last thing I do getting ready to book or promote shows is I go to post reels, shorts, other gig dates. So I try to do something to get people to come to at least my Facebook page, and then maybe they'll notice the event. So between shows I'll go back and post footage or clips, and on Facebook I only really post performance stuff. I don't get a lot of traction with the lessons there. So this is my checklist, is just a nobody who happens to play harmonica and sing and gets a few shows a month and maybe plays more in the summer than in the fall or winter. And I would love to hear from you, your tips and tricks or checklists or anything that could help me out or anything that I could add to this to help you out. Thanks, guys.